Hey, what's going on there, guys and gals? Welcome back. I'm out riding on the Kawasaki ZH2 and I'm a little bit afraid to get off at the moment because of all the mud and stuff that's around here. I'm on quite a narrow road, but anyway, in today's video we're going to do it. Okay, we're going to answer the age-old question: sport bikes versus sports tourers. Let's get into it. Alright, look, I get the irony, okay? I'm currently riding a naked bike. Yeah, okay, I get it, alright. But the ZZR is out of commission at the moment because it's still winterized. I am not going to bring it out until at least March, okay? It is coming. I do want to bring it back out as soon as possible, but you know, with the weather and what have you, the way it's been this winter, all the dirt and grease and stuff, that bike is too nice to be taken out this time of year. So yes, bear with me, guys and gals. I get the irony that I'm out on a naked talking to you about sport bikes and sports tourers, but that's exactly what we're discussing in today's video. Which one is potentially better for you, a sport bike or a sports tourer? They're both very similar, but they are massively different. So let's start up the lovely ZH2, go for a ride, and yeah, hopefully we can kind of cover all bases here based on the experiences that I've had with both sport bikes and sports tourers. Right, let's start her up, shall we? Now, I've actually been out on a bit of an adventure today. Yesterday was the massive storm that hit the southwest of the UK, and we're still kind of feeling its effects right now with all the floods and the trees falling down and things like that. And the whole reason why I kind of ended up down here was because I was following a driver just to, you know, and I was filming them as I was riding along, just following them, and just I don't know, I wanted to capture how stupid they were being, and it kind of led me all the way out here where I've been able to see a few of these trees that have fallen down in the local area. I've just taken a look at the River Severn, which looks like it's pretty close to breaking, and we've got another storm coming in this evening, I believe, or tomorrow afternoon. Can't quite remember, but it's coming, and all the locals are getting ready for the flood that's going to be happening soon, or the potential flood that's going to be happening soon. And it's one of those videos that I don't know if I want to show to anyone, but let me know in the comments if it's a video that you guys would like to see. I don't know, I might put up the trees falling down and things like that on the YouTube shorts. Not sure, but we'll see. I've been thinking about getting into the whole shorts thing for a while, so yeah, maybe it's a good video to start off with. But yeah, so sport bikes and sports tourers. All right, now the biggest problem between the two is actually the amount of confusion there is around which is what kind of thing. And the reason why I say that is because you look at a Kawasaki Ninja, and just think about the word Ninja, okay? Think about the brand Ninja, and from that you kind of think, oh, it's a sport bike, because Kawasaki brand all of their motorcycles, or their Ninja motorcycles, they kind of market them as sport bikes, but actually a lot of them aren't sport bikes. Kawasaki are a bit of a weird company with the way they do things. Like a ZX14 in the States is a Kawasaki Ninja branded motorcycle, whereas over here in the UK it isn't. A ZZR 1400 is a ZZR 1400. It's not a Ninja branded bike whatsoever. And that's how it used to be back in the day, I think, is any bike that had the Ninja branding was their sport bike lineup, basically. And yeah, that guy was going for it, wasn't he? Oh, that lady trying to get past that cyclist, bombing it down. Don't think that cyclist was all too happy about that either, but there you go. So yeah, Kawasaki as a company have almost in the past always branded their, well, since they started doing the whole Ninja branding, only doing their sport bikes as Ninjas, but then that ended up becoming such a big marketing success that they ended up using Ninja on almost all of their motorcycles. So yeah, it does kind of get a bit confusing. And let's take, for example, a so-called Ninja 650. Now, a Ninja 650 would indicate that it is a sport bike. Let me tell you, it isn't. Might look like a sport bike, might even sound like a sport bike, might even be named like a sport bike, but it isn't. It is not a sport bike. It is actually far from a sport bike. The only thing that makes it a sport bike are its fairings, the way it looks, and its name. I remember, guys and gals, I used to own an ER6. I've spoken about this before because it was my first big motorcycle. Kawasaki ER6. And that is basically what a Ninja 650 is today. It is just an ER6 that's been rebranded. Yeah, so it's a 650 parallel twin producing between 70 and 80 horsepower. It's basically the same as an ER6, or as the ER6 was in the past. And trust me, that is not a sport bike in the slightest. It actually resembles more of a sports tourer, and that's actually what it is. It's a sports tourer. It's more of a sports tourer than anything else, okay? When you take away the branding, when you take away the fairings and things like that, remember, they also have the Z650 or the Z650, which is the naked variant of the Ninja 650 or the ER6. And back in the day, you had an ER6F, which is the bike that I had, and you had an ER6N, which was the naked version of the ER6. It's all the same. They're the exact same motorcycle. And me being naive, the way I was back then, I didn't know the difference between sport bikes and sports tourers, and that's kind of the reason why I'm doing this video. So you've got a better idea of what the difference is between the two. But I mean, if you want to think about it from a car standpoint, let's talk about the actual midweight sport bike that Kawasaki make, and that is a ZX6R, which recently, unfortunately, they've stopped selling in the UK from new, which is kind of annoying, but there you go. One day I would love to get a 636 Ninja. That's certainly on my radar. But let's look at that bike. That bike is the equivalent of a sports car. Yeah, sport bike, sports car. It's the equivalent of a sports car. The ZX6R is a thoroughbred sport bike, through and through. That is a proper sport bike. But then you look at a Ninja 650, and I mean, you can look at the engine, you can work out which is a sport bike and what isn't by simply just analysing the engine. If it's a parallel twin, it is more than likely going to be a sport tourer. If it is a inline 4-cylinder, then it's more likely a sport bike. Yeah, because all sport bikes, all 600 sport bikes at least, are 4 cylinders. So you've got that, and then of course Yamaha come along and make it all complicated again with their R7, because it's a sport bike, and it is actually a sport bike, but it is using the same engine from the MT-07, which is a naked bike, and nakeds have a lot of resemblances to sport tourers, but the only difference is, of course, they don't have the fairings on, so anyway, that's neither here nor there, because the R7 is kind of like this experiment for Yamaha, especially around the whole using a parallel twin in a sport bike. It's a new thing for them. But anyway, so it's easy to get confused whenever you see a motorcycle with race bike like fairings and things like that. It makes you think sport bike. It makes you think like a sports car, the equivalent of a sports car, but it isn't. It isn't. It's more like a hot hatch. I suppose you could call it like a hot hatchback if you want to kind of compare it to a car. You look at something like a Ford Focus ST or a Ford Focus RS, well, that's basically the equivalent, is that, it's a practical car that's made sporty, that's what a sports tourer is. And there's a lot to like about sports tourers. So you get the lovely looks with the branding, with with performance as well. Sports tourers do have performance, so you do get a nice load of performance, and you get a nice load of torque, which is all nice in that low to mid range. RPM, so it's a usable power, as they say, that you can actually use every day. Oh wow, look, I think that's the River 7 right there. Look, it's broken a lot of the boundaries there. There you go. Probably shouldn't be out riding today, guys and gals, but anyway, we've got a video to shoot. Let's get on with it. So yeah, there's a lot to like about sports tourers, and believe me, when I owned my ER6 back in the day, I absolutely loved that bike. It was really reliable. It had all the power I could ever need, at least back then anyway. I'm a bit of a power junkie nowadays with the kind of bikes that I own, but very, very good motorcycle, certainly recommended. And of course nowadays that would be a Ninja 650 or a Z650. So yeah, very, very fantastic motorcycles. Very, very fantastic. Is that the correct grammar? I don't even bloody know, who knows. But yeah, Ninja 650, fantastic little motorcycle. A lot of good things to say about it. But if you want that raw horsepower from a middleweight sport bike, let's use middleweight sport bikes as kind of like the comparison here. Because I think this is the kind of area as well where people get confused between a 650 and a 600cc motorcycle. All right, something that 600cc is more than likely going to be a lot faster than a 650. 650s are kind of more for beginners, you know, if you're like new to big motorcycles. A 650 is probably a good place to start to kind of break you in, but then you would go from like a 650 to a 600cc super sport. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of good things to say about a sports tourer, or an ER6 at least, and a Ninja 650. And also you've got the comfort to match. They're very, very comfortable motorcycles. When I had my old ER6, I could have ridden that bike for hours and hours and hours on end, and yeah, no problem whatsoever. No problem at all. There's the river again. But let's take a look at the opposite side of the same coin, a 600cc Super Sport. The very first thing that is a massive difference between the two are the ergonomics, all right? When you sit down on a 650 and then you sit down on a 600, you immediately tell the difference. And it's the same thing if you sit on any sport tourer and then you sit on a sport bike, regardless of what it is completely different. Completely different. There's a lot more pressure on your wrists. There's a significant amount more pressure on your back. You are leaning forward a considerable amount. That is a super sport. That's why I kind of related it to a sports car, because a sports car isn't necessarily going to be comfortable. A sports car is going to put you in that prime racing position, and that is the exact same thing that a sport bike does for a motorcycle. It puts you in a racing position. And for those of you that kind of need a reference, you look at MotoGP World Superbikes and you look at the bikes that they race, they are hunched forward, crunched down on the seat, squatting, having their arms bent, tucking right in. That's a sport bike. So the main difference is ergonomics, but of course another massive difference is the performance. So an inline 4 produces significant amount more horsepower, not necessarily more torque though, than something like a parallel twin. Again, massive difference. And these different motorcycles appeal to different audiences. Now, if I was younger, when I got my ER6, if I knew more about motorcycles back then, I might not have bought the ER6. I might have gone for a 636. I might have gone for a ZX6R. I always wanted a Kawasaki as my first big bike anyway, you know. I've always loved, even when I was a kid, the Kawasaki brand and the Ninja branding and all that. I loved it, absolutely loved it, and I was so proud of my ER6 back in the day. But I might not have had that bike when I was younger. Maybe when I was younger I might have been more interested in a ZX6R. Maybe I can't really I couldn't tell you, because getting the ER6 was a really, really good decision, even if it was almost by mistake. It was a really, really good decision for a young rider getting on their first big bike. And of course, a 600 Super Sport is considerably more powerful. So, you know, from an experience standpoint, yeah, the ER6 was certainly a really, really good option for me. And yeah, if you're 19, 20, well, nowadays actually you've got to be 21, haven't you, on an A2, or yeah, 21 to get your full license, then yeah, getting a parallel twin, a 650, 700 parallel twin over an inline 4 600cc is definitely a good way to go if you're lacking a few years experience. But hey, I mean, yeah, if you want that horsepower and things like that, then getting a sport bike is definitely the way to go. If you want the most amount of performance out of a motorcycle possible, you want that loud, brash exhaust, you want that sport kind of race bike feel, then you get a sport bike. That's the honest truth. You get a sport bike. Don't even bother with sports tourers. They're not going to satisfy that itch, and if they do, it'll only be temporary. Yeah, it will satisfy that itch for maybe a few years, and you might end up finding the same problem that I had, where you're just getting bored of riding it. And yeah, as you guys probably know, if you have been following the channel recently, that's what happened to me. I had a 1.5-2 year low where I wasn't riding, and I simply wasn't enjoying it. And it was because I had a sport tourer, and I didn't realize that there's so much more out there in the motorcycle world. It's not like, you know, you ride one motorcycle, you've ridden all motorcycles. It's far from it. You get so many different experiences, and now I'm addicted to trying new motorcycles. Totally addicted to having these new experiences on bikes, and that's certainly what I'd encourage you to do, especially if you are kind of like in limbo between getting a sport tourer because you're worried about the comfort, or you know, or maybe you do want a sport bike because you do want that extra performance and things like that. You know, go ahead, try them out, try both of them out, and then make your mind up. I will be honest with you, the performance of a sport bike is absolutely addicting. But at the same time, if it is a motorcycle that you plan to use day in, day out, it might not be the right motorcycle to get if you're commuting with it and things like that, because it's not going to be a comfortable experience. At least if your commute is quite long, you know, if you have to ride over an hour to get to your place of work every day, then a sport bike might not cut it. But at the same time, you might be one of those people that's like, yeah, I'm super comfortable on a sport bike, and honestly, comfort is like not as important to you. If comfort is not as important to you, then yeah, you're pretty much good to go. Go ahead, get yourself a sport bike, get yourself the kind of like the ultimate experience on a motorcycle is on a sport bike. But for sure, without a doubt, okay, if you want that ultimate experience, motorcycle experience, having a sport bike is certainly the way to go. Okay, you're not going to get the full experience on a sport tourer. Yeah, okay, I'm being brutally honest right there. Even though they're really good bikes, they're fantastic bikes, if you want the best experience possible on a motorcycle, you get a sport bike. Personally, if it was me, you know, and you're my age, 25, 30 years old, you got a full motorcycle license, go ahead, get yourself a sport bike, guys. Honestly, yes, like I said, there are lots of good things to say about sports tourers, and hey, look, you can get a sport tourer when you're a bit older, you know, and you can't ride a sport bike so comfortably for so long and things like that. Because that's the thing, if you're not enjoying the motorcycle you're riding, it just becomes a chore, you know. And that goes both ways, on a sport bike and on a sport tourer. If you're bored on a sport tourer because you're not getting enough power, if you're bored on a sport bike because you can't ride it for long periods of time, or you can't ride it as long as you would like to ride it for because it's too uncomfortable or something like that, then you've got the wrong motorcycle. So yeah, it is definitely one of those considerations. What is it you want more? Do you want that performance, or do you want to sacrifice a little bit of that performance for significantly more comfort? I know which one I'd pick. Anyway, guys and gals, there it is. In my humble opinion, a sport bike is a much better motorcycle to buy if you are looking for the most fun experience for a motorcycle. And look, that might sound obvious, and you know, and to some of you that know more about bikes, yeah, it probably is obvious. You know, you want the most amount of fun, you get yourself a sport bike, yeah. But trust me, if when I first bought my first, you know, my first big bike, I didn't know what I was buying. And that's the point of this video, is to give you guys more insights, at least for beginners anyway, more insights into what motorcycles are and what the different experiences are that you can get. There's so much out there, so much variety, and I'm one of those people that wants to try it all. I want to I really do want to try it all. But yeah, for me, my recommendation: sport bikes trump sports tourers, literally just because of the experience you get, guys. Honestly, I love sport bikes. I also love sports tourers, and yeah, if you're a slightly older guy or gal, a sport tourer might be the better option for you, just because of that added comfort, and it allows you to ride and still experience motorcycling to the best of your ability. But yeah, that's just the way how I feel about it, guys and gals. Of course, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you prefer sport bikes? Do you prefer sports tourers? Let me know in the comments. As always, make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe, guys and gals, if you enjoy this kind of content. We really appreciate your support. And yeah, a lot of you that watch our videos are not subscribed, so make sure to get subscribed, guys and gals. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps us out an awful lot. Anyway, guys and gals, that will do for today's video. Hope you're all doing well. As always, let me know how you're getting on. Let me know if you've got any new motorcycles planned as your next purchase. Let me know what they are. I'd love to hear what you guys are all up to. Yeah, I'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.